Hey, so I was watching this video, and I mentioned her in another video too. Stephanie P. Smith. Man, that girl, she puts out some great videos, and she said something the other day about defensiveness. She said people who are defensive, like if you think about how you grew up, like if you're a defensive person, how you grew up, you were probably a good person, a really good person with a good heart, a tender heart. And you may have been you may have been surrounded by narcissists, surrounded by people who were just completely self-absorbed, maybe even evil, who knows? We know now that Satanists are much more common than we realized or that we used to know. And they're even in our churches and everywhere. Um, but so you were raised amongst all these negative people, and you had a good heart, and you were a good person, and you did the very best job that you could. But when it came to it, for anything that went wrong, because all these demons were talking in everybody's ear in your environment, because you were that important in the future, they really came down on you, and they really pounded down on you, and beat you and beat you and beat you, and nobody came to your aid, and nobody came to protect you, and nobody stood up for you, right? That's how people get defensive when they're an adult, when they're just constantly, they jump on the defense a lot. It's because nobody had their back. And I had like this really amazing breakthrough. I have these breakthroughs a lot of times when I do that breath work that I told you guys about on Instagram. When I recommended that you do that breath work thing, I've been doing that ever since. And I was thinking about all the people, like the guy that came out with his veins popping out, angry at me for dumping garbage in I was just like, I was so appalled. I was so appalled at that behavior that somebody would allow themselves to go into a rage over something like that. But then I thought, you know what? I'm here at this time for a reason. I came to Texas because people here are badass. And yes, we may be targeted. Yes, there's the dark forces, but there's also like, the dark army. Yes, they would go after people who are really fighting for their freedom. And Texas is obviously one of those places where you can go and people are fighting for their freedom. So that makes you a target in a way, but it also puts you with like-minded people. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, I've surrounded myself with all these Christians, the Bible beaters, Bible thumpers. All right. So yes, like everybody that surrounds me is somebody who would beat somebody up and be the first person to come smack them or yell at them or tell them what they're doing wrong and just judge them and wag their finger at them and tell them, you're not right with God. You're not doing this wrong. You're of the devil. You're blah, 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 blah. They're totally being led. They're being like listening to demons all the time, not even realizing they're calling it Christianity, but they're so judgmental. So yes, and they've got guns. But I also consider them family. And I finally went there and said, I got, you know what? I have a defensive part of me. I have a defensive part of me that comes out, and I get upset about it sometimes. Like, gosh, why didn't I just keep my cool about that? Or why did I have to pop off? Or why do I get so easily triggered sometimes with some things? Not all the time. And some things just I've gotten to where I just laugh things off a lot in a good way, not like laughing, like trying to, be like in my ego about it, but sincerely like laughing, like letting it go. So, but I also don't like, or I haven't liked when I've gotten defensive, when that's still there. It's like, oh God, that's the old me. I don't like it. So it occurred to me, Amy, you came to a place where everybody's defensive, right? They're all up at arms. They'll put a gun at you in a heartbeat if you say something wrong or go against what they think is right or whatever, and they'll be all did it. So I started to look at all these different groups of people, or that neighbor that was like screaming at me, that other neighbor, the woman who was screaming at me for the same thing, livid, veins popping. How could you leave garbage in my bin? You could practically see the demon in them going, but, I looked at these people and I thought, you know what? These people have had nobody that have had their back, just like me. These people feel just like I do. These people feel like they have had to fight against all the bad their whole life. They've just been inundated and stuff thrown at them and blamed for things and told that you're the reason that all this is happening or whatever it's been. The dark side has just pummeled these people, just like they have me. Just laid it on. Nobody rescuing them, nobody helping them. They had to fend for themselves, just like me. They had to climb all by themselves. They had to do it all by themselves, and nobody had their back. But they were also the ones who were loyal to people. They were also the ones who were honest. They were also the ones who chose to do the right thing, no matter what. They were the ones who went through the hell and came back still loving. And those people are the people I'm choosing to be with at this time, whether they're listening to demons or not. Nobody had their back. And you know what? I've got their back now, and they'll have mine. So I consider myself very happy and privileged to have this strong, fierce family around me. They're badass. These people will tell you what they think. And I look at those people who came out and yelled at me or just were freaking out over the garbage thing. And I'm like, you know what? I could never do that. I could never do that. I could never do that to somebody, to be that threatening and not have clarity or not ask questions or anything, but to just go attack somebody like that. That's some serious power. That's like what Matthew Kahn is talking about. And when he says, respect the shadow, like if you say to somebody, I respect you, I respect the power of it. You're not condoning the behavior or saying the behavior is okay. No behavior is okay if demons are behind it. Okay. I'm not saying I'm condoning any kind of behavior like that. What I'm saying is recognize the good in it, recognize the power. These people who were screaming and yelling at me, they'd be the same people who'd have my back if somebody were attacking me. Hands down. Somebody in need. If I was in the same situation, if I'd have gotten out of the car and I would be limping and getting into a wheelchair and making my way over to the garbage. Oh, I'm so sorry. Can I please, like when I try to dump in my own garbage, and this is true, like I have a lowrider car and I scrape my car every single time going to my garbage because there's this massive hole and it just every time. And it doesn't have any kind of a turnaround or a way to go through. So I have to go all the way down to the end, turn around, and my back is not the best. So I have to wrench my back around to go turn my car around to leave. So of course I'm going to go somewhere where I can just drive through and drop the garbage off. It's just common sense. And I'm doing nothing wrong. I don't leave a mess. I'm so respectful and I'm so kind to people. If they would just talk to me nicely, I would just explain to them and they would be okay with it. I'm sure they would. So if they let their defenses down and they weren't listening to demons, they would be very loving about it. And they would just be like, oh, I got you, girl. Because if they were to see me do all of it, they'd be like, oh my, please come over here, please. That's too much. That's just too much. So if you look at the people who get defensive in your life and see them in a new light. Look at the people who pop off and get angry and they automatically assume the worst and they got their dukes up. Well, those poor people have not had anybody have their back. Maybe you can be the person who has their back now. Look at it that way. See them through a different light, and all of a sudden you'll find yourself accepting your own defensiveness, loving yourself with your defensiveness. And guess what happens then? then you don't care about the defensiveness anymore and it goes away. That's just the nature of things. When you accept something about yourself, you don't have to, you're not going to notice it in other people as much. And you're not going to, what we judge about ourselves, we end up lashing out about other people. So those people must have a real issue with dumping their garbage on other people, right? I mean, think about that. It's like symbolic. So they must be dumping their garbage on other people, and God's just got this funny way of showing them, like, look at yourself. Why did you get so triggered by this or whatever? It's for everybody's good. Everybody's in training. So we need to get everybody to just reflect on themselves as to why this happened. Why did this happen? Why did I get so upset? And how are these people the people that I need to protect the most? How can I have their back? When they're angry and defensive, can I lovingly look right through it and say, I got you. I got you, girl. I got you, boy. You've never had anybody have your back. I got you now. No matter how nasty they're acting. It's just that little kid backed into a corner who never got somebody coming into them to save them, to protect them, to tell somebody off for them, to stand in between them and the bully. You guys were probably all bullied. If you have like defensiveness, like me, you probably were bullied like crazy, like I was. I was bullied like you can't believe by everybody, by my brother. I couldn't get away from it. It was at school. I'd go to the bathroom and I had a girl that would come in and kick the door in, threatening me. Why? Because she was jealous of my relationship with my dad. People are insane. They're just insane. They do things for insane reasons. But in these times, you guys, we have to start relating to people. Who is it that gets you mad? If it's not defensiveness, what is it? What pisses you off about people that you're seeing out there? What kind of people can you not stand? What are those qualities within yourself that person is, God's trying to show you? You're that too. Sometimes you're that too. And when you're that way, you hate yourself. So what are we trying to get you to do? Love yourself for that. Love yourself despite that ugly part of yourself, that shadow part of yourself that you work so diligently to cover up and say, it's not there, it's not there. I don't act that way. No, 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 Well, that person is such a biatch, And it's like, okay, so when you're a biatch, when you've ever been a biatch sometime in the past, what if you go back and love that about yourself? Love it like it's okay. Sometimes people get angry and some people come across that way sometimes. It's okay. If you ever want to just pop off and be a biatch and yell at somebody for dumping their garbage or whatever, you have the right to be that. And I will love you anyway. And when you take every situation to help you love yourself more, you're not going to get defensive or upset with anybody anymore around any of that. You're going to get less and less triggered all the time. Because it's going to become like an automatic mechanism, Oh, that ugly thing. Oh, that's me. Oh, I just love myself. Even I give myself permission to be a biatch sometimes. It's okay. Everybody's a biatch sometimes. I'm not enlightened yet, so that makes me a human being, and that makes me susceptible to some of the things that demons are whispering sometimes. It's okay, And then all of a sudden we look at everybody else and we're like, hey, it's all right. It's all right. I see ugly there, ugly there, ugly there. Don't care, So I don't know. Hopefully this helps somebody out there. And that just really touched my heart. Like when I heard her talk about that, I forget the name of that talk. I wish I could remember. But anyway, it just really hit home. I was like, wow, yeah. I was picked on my whole entire life. Nobody ever stood up for me. I always fought for everybody else. I was always the loyal one. I was always the faithful one. I was always the one that would go protect other people from bullies. I'd go after the bullies that were bullying other people, So, you know, But that was all to produce the results of you today, how you are now. It's made you as powerful as you are now. But now we're refining and fine-tuning some aspects of ourselves going forward because we're going to be the leaders of the new earth. We're going to be an example in the days ahead. Why? Because we know the truth of what's happening right now, and we were open-hearted enough to allow this information in and not be defensive about that information and not push against it and go into denial, right? We faced it, we assimilated it, we freaked out about it, we processed it, we let it inside of us and we dealt with it in a healthy way. And now we're ready to be there for others who are about to go through that. So the more compassionate we can be for one another, the better. Have everybody else's back still. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Even if nobody's got your back, have everybody else's back. Eventually, we're going to rise up in consciousness enough where that is happening, where people do protect themselves and they don't let anybody get bullied. And we're coming into that time. So this is such an exciting time. Anything else I need to mention? Well, I just looked at the surrender cards, so I guess let me read a couple of the surrender cards and see. Okay, God, what do we need to surrender? Those who are watching this video right now, what do they need to surrender? Surrender fear. Let go of the fearful stories you're telling yourself. Stay in the moment. Focus on solutions and celebrate every baby step forward. Yeah, just keep making baby steps and celebrating every single step that you make in the right direction. Just be a little bit courageous and a little bit courageous and a little bit courageous and a little bit courageous. Eventually courageous will be what you are. Surrender your ego, which is demons whispering in your ear, right? Surrender your ego. Cultivate gratitude. Be of service to others and come from your heart. A big ego can work against you, but humility will further your goals, for sure. Surrender your belief in scarcity. The universe is asking you to open to the infinite nature of abundance. In this way, you can remove blocks in your life and succeed beyond your wildest dreams. We are being challenged in every way, shape, and form right now. I can't think of, well, just there are a lot of people who are really suffering emotionally, psychologically, mentally, in every way, or don't know where to go, or don't know what to do, or feel like they're in limbo, and they're running out of money sometimes, or like all kinds. It's everybody. It's on purpose. It's by design right now because Babylon is crashing around us. It needs to. It has to for a new way of being to resurrect itself after, be the phoenix rising from the ashes. So, surrender to passion. Get out of your head, feel the fire in your belly, and focus on the people or activities that ignite your passion and let it flow. Absolutely. A lot of true love is going to come together at this time as well. I mean, it's such an incredible time. It's such an incredible time. So stay out of the scarcity, though. Don't buy into the demon stories. Okay. So if you're in a situation where you're barely making ends meet, just keep repeating to yourself, thank you, God, so much for always supplying for my needs. Thank you so much that my business is flourishing and thriving. I'm so excited that it just feels so incredible that every time I wonder if I'm going to make a bill, boom, the money is in there. God, I'm just so grateful. Just repeat things like that all the time. If you have to, move your money, just say, I'm moving my money. I'm moving my money. I am a mover of money. That's it. Don't go, oh, I have to put it in this account and take it from savings and put it here, like don't get into a scared, scarce feeling. Oh, I had to go cash in some silver. Oh, any of that stuff, be powerful. I had the silver to go get some cash. It's 1-for-1 right now, So this is what we did. This is why we got the silver in the first place, is so that we could, do this and that to finagle, and we're finagling. We did this or that to barter at this time, and we're bartering. We knew this time was coming. We didn't know the time was right now. It's hit us and it's here now. So this is what we're dealing with, but don't get in a scarcity mindset. Don't get yourself like, I'm spiraling down or I'm going to crash or everything's going wrong, or don't get into all that. Don't fall for the devil's stories. Keep affirming. Keep affirming God's got the victory. All of this is working out in my favor somehow. It's all, I'm just so excited for the miracles that are about to pour out into my life. Thank you, God, so much for all the incredible miracles and all the incredible, incredible plans that are revealing themselves. Thank you so much for showing me reassurance all the time that we got this. Thank you so much for all the truth that's coming out in the world. Just thank God constantly for all of that. Surrender to receiving support and love. Allow the love and support of others in rather than trying to handle everything yourself. This can take the pressure off and simultaneously nurture you. Totally. Okay, and surrender to the magic of who you are. See, we're going all the way back to the beginning of this video saying that you are incredibly powerful. Surrender to the magic of who you are. We all have magic in us. Even in the mundane aspects of life, remember that you are a magical being with a uniqueness and worth that come from just being you. All right, you guys. So one aspect of getting back into your power and realizing who you truly are is to just, love yourself and love others as you love yourself. So have a great day, you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.